is Nightly News. I'm David Knight, and it's Thursday, September 26, 2013. Here are our top stories.
Tonight, the FBI denies that Aaron Alexis was a victim of ELF technology. Then, how secret 3G Intel chips give a backdoor to your PC. And the NSA claims it trolls your phone to keep you safe. That's next on the InfoWars Nightly News.
It knows all your medical conditions, your history, where you eat, what size and color underwear your wife wears, what type of sex you're into.
Well, the inscription on Aaron Alexis's gun, My ELF Weapon, has caused quite a stir about research that's been out in the open for decades, but has largely gone unnoticed by the public. So the FBI decided that they needed to push back. In this article, the FBI gave a statement saying that there was an electronic document from Alexis that said, ultra-low frequency attack is what I've been subject to for the last 3 months. And to be perfectly honest, that's what's driven me to this. They just dismissed that by saying he was delusional. But as we pointed out, Satanist and high-ranking NSA official Michael Aquino pointed out 33 years ago in his document Mind War that ELF was very useful for harassing and controlling people, as well as making a connection to the Navy Yard, where the ELF program is also used for submarines. And what was also different about this, and indicating that it wasn't just simple schizophrenia or natural schizophrenia, was that it was a sudden onset, late in life. He was hearing voices of people that he thought were harassing him, not the voice of God or Satan, and especially sleep deprivation. Take a look at this clip from a new film by Take Back Your Power. They show people that are exposed to smart meters, and these are pictures before. After they're exposed to just 2 minutes of standing close by a smart meter, you see abnormal cell conditions in the first two subjects. The third subject was a female who could only stay there for 45 seconds. It still caused clotting, gave her headaches, and those are the symptoms that we see people complaining about frequently with smart meters. So you can see a dramatic difference in the effect on blood cells with just 2 minutes of exposure, and in the one case, only 45 seconds of exposure. Now, you can see more about that documentary at InfoWarsStore.com. We sell the DVD, Take Back Your Power, a very powerful film that will educate you about the very real effects on your health and your family's health with smart meters. Now, what we didn't show, but what happens right after they show the effect on blood cells of the smart meters, there's an former Apple executive who talks about how they use the term smart meters as simply a marketing ploy. He says it's very clever to do that because if you criticize a smart meter, you're obviously dumb. He says he calls them dangerous meters. It's a very good documentary. Check it out at InfoWarsStore.com. So we know that there are real physiological effects of microwave radiation on people. We've had research that has talked about how companies and how various military organizations have research projecting communications into people's heads. The Army calls it their voice-to-skull program, or DARPA calls it a sonic projector. The Marines, of course, have their directed energy beam weapons, the Medusa project. And there's a lot of weapons of mass control, as I like to call them, as they talk about them being non-lethal weapons, but they're weapons that they know have very severe physiological effects on people. Now, Aaron Alexis was a technician who worked in this area. He worked with defense contractors. He had been in the military, and he may have been warned about the physiological effects of exposure to this, but he certainly knew that he was being harassed, and he knew the source of this harassment. For the FBI to just dismiss this as delusional is not credible. We know that there are real physiological effects. We saw that with the smart meters. We know that they've been researching these programs for decades. The only question is, are they morally capable of doing it? Well, of course they are. They think they're on a noble mission. Look at what the NSA surveillance boss just said about this. He said that the NSA has defined U.S. surveillance programs as part of a noble mission to protect the nation, and that any reports about what they're doing are simply sensationalized. Keith Alexander, the head of the NSA, said that not only was their mission noble, but that reports about what they're doing have been sensationalized. Well, there is absolutely nothing about a secret shadow government that is breaking the law. He's lied to Congress. He and James Clapper have lied to Congress about what they're doing. They're breaking the law. They're simply criminals who don't think they're subject to the law. And we've seen how the NSA is using PRISM in conjunction with large internet companies. But you're not even safe if you stay away from the internet. We now learn that there are backdoors even in your computer processor. Take a look at this clip from Intel talking about their new generation of processors.
Unlike software-only solutions that require PCs to be powered on and software agents running on a fully functional OS, a hardware-assisted approach enables PCs to be managed regardless of system state and without requiring software agents. The result? IT or IT service providers can diagnose and fix problems without a desk-side visit, schedule PCs to power down at night to cut energy costs, and still have the ability to power them up for off-hours patching.
So Intel reported about that, but it went, again, largely unnoticed. But in this article we have today on InfoWars, secret 3G Intel chip gives snoops backdoor PC access. It points out that the Intel Core vPro processors contain a secret 3G wireless chip that allows remote disabling and backdoor access to any computer, even if it's turned off. And that's because it uses the system's phantom power. So it can individually turn on hardware components, and it can access anything on your computer, and it allows third parties to do this. In that video that you just saw, Intel is bragging about how it can be used for system management, and of course, like any technology, it can be used for good purposes or for bad purposes, but we've already seen how the NSA uses all the technology that it gets for evil purposes, for spying on people. It points out that the webcams can also be remotely accessed. So any third party, and you can bet that an interested third party is going to be the NSA. And as a former NSA director said just 10 days ago, they want to see our internet, he wants to see our internet look more like China's. He said it's too much like the Wild West. Well, you know what? In the Wild West, in America's frontier past, we had respect for individual liberty. Not in China. If the government in China doesn't like what you're saying, they can grab you and force you to confess your crimes in public. Well, it's not just internet dissenters that they're cracking down on in China, of course. They crack down on people who are dissenting apart from the internet, people who are speaking out about human rights violation, against forced abortions. Now we're seeing the same pattern in the United States and in the UK, where they're going after dissenters and shutting them down or preventing them from speaking. The U.S. government prevented drone strikes victims from meeting with Congress, claims a lawyer. This was a fellow named Shahzad Akbar, and he's with the Pakistan-based Foundation for Fundamental Rights, and he's a legal fellow with Reprieve, a British human rights group. He told The Guardian he was barred from entering the United States. He says, it's not like my name is scratched because there's some sort of confusion. My name is blocked. Before I started drone investigations, I never had an issue with the U.S. with visas. In fact, I had a diplomatic visa for 2 years. Now, while he was blocked from entering, the UK detained and harassed another person who was speaking out about human rights violations with drones. He was from Yemen. So this fellow, the first fellow was from Pakistan. The second one was from Yemen. And we see this happening with both the UK and with the US going after dissenters. Also, in the Guardian article, it pointed out top secret U.S. government documents obtained by the Guardian from NSA whistleblower Ed Snowden characterize even the most basic political and legal opposition to drone attacks as part of propaganda campaigns from America's, quote, adversaries. That's what the NSA thinks of you. The document is titled Nationality of Target versus Due Process. And it says, attacks against American and European persons who have become violent extremists are often characterized by propagandists arguing that lethal action against these individuals deprives them of due process. Well, when you kill American citizens without due process, that's simply assassination. It used to be something that the CIA denied and tried to distance themselves from. Now they don't have any problem with it. Obama's got his drone strike list. And it's not propaganda to point this out. They don't have, and it is propaganda to say that al-Awlaki was violent. He was not engaged in an active shooting war. He was merely assassinated. He was someone who was advocating violent things, but he was writing. He was not a soldier in a hot war, which is like the way that they wanted to portray it. But think about it. They also killed his son, his 16-year-old son, who was not doing anything, and many, many innocent people. That's what these human rights advocates from Yemen and Pakistan who want to speak out about this are denied from being able to speak out because they're blocked from even entering the country. They're detained and harassed in the UK, and they're blocked from entering the United States by the State Department. Our government is literally unaccountable. As this next story points out, That certainly is true of the IRS. We have a IRS watchdog says that $67 million is missing from Obamacare slush fund. The IRS is unable to account for $67 million spent from a slush fund established for Obamacare implementation, according to Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration. That's a report that was released today. So they can't account for $67 million, and they won't be held accountable for it. Nobody is going to go to jail for this. This is the kind of corruption, this is the kind of out-of-control government that we're talking about. You see it in every instance. Well, stay tuned. Right after the break, we're going to be coming up with a report from Dan Badandi. He's gone around and looked at Rhode Island, where the shooter first started hearing voices. And he's showing us the close proximity of where he stayed in these hotels. He was moving from one hotel to the other to try to avoid this harassment. And he shows you how close they are in proximity to defense contractors as well as to DARPA. We'll be right back after the break. Stay tuned.
The Alex Jones channel is the official page of the Info War. But don't miss what's happening on our other channels. The Info Warrior, with the week's best videos. Prison Planet Live, where Paul Joseph Watson gives his expert analysis. And keep up with the rest of the Info Wars crew on our other pages. All of our videos are available to repost for educational purposes. See the sidebar of the Alex Jones channel for the subscription links. And remember, you can always find our videos in the highest quality by becoming a member of PrisonPlanet.tv.
Well, the inscription on Aaron Alexis's gun, my ELF weapon, has caused quite a stir about research that's been out in the open for decades, but has largely gone unnoticed by the public. So the FBI decided that they needed to push back. In this article, the FBI gave a statement saying that there was an electronic document from Alexis that said, ultra-low frequency attack. InfoWars Nightly News. I'm David Knight, and it's Thursday, September 26, 2013. Here are our top stories.
Tonight, the FBI denies that Aaron Alexis was a victim of ELF technology. Then, how secret 3G Intel chips give a backdoor to your PC. And the NSA claims it trolls your phone to keep you safe. That's next on the InfoWars Nightly News.
It knows all your medical conditions, your history, where you eat, what size and color underwear your wife wears, what type of sex you're into.